had never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Never truer words spoken by the great, some would suggest, Ronald Reagan. I'm not sure that he said them while he was president. I think that may have been trying to become a president back in the early 80s. We're back talking common law again. And, of course, we have the lovely Ramona joining us. But this time she has friends and she's on the road. I know I'm very tempted to do the Willie Nelson bit and sing the song, but I won't. So lovely to see you again, darling. Whereabouts in the world are you today and who are your friends?
Today I'm in my lovely, look, I call this city my favorite city, Chicago. But I'm not in Chicago, but I call Melbourne Chicago, right? Because Melbourne always remind me to Chicago. So, and I got these two beautiful men with me, Peter, the lovely researcher, just here, right? And this is Phil, Peter and Phil. Phil, who's been standing in the barrier and in Melbourne, and they're doing amazing job. Peter is absolutely amazing with paperwork and sending out notices. Phil is great with standing. He's getting trained with paperwork. So, yeah.
Well,
and
that's a big part of what we're talking about here, isn't it?
We got
Paperwork
Mariana, who's going to listen at this
Mariana.
stage, okay? But next time she's going to have a chat as well. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the paperwork is a very important part of the entire process. So it's important that you get the paperwork right, because if you don't, the paperwork doesn't go anywhere.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So today we decided, and Phil's going to talk a little bit, and Peter as well, going to help me in this conversation. Mainly we're going to talk about council tax and land tax, and some High Court cases and the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900, especially Section 90, how they cannot impose tax, the states and all that stuff. We know already the taxation is voluntary anyway. And as well, the tax is applied only for the straw man, to the legal fiction, not to the free living man or woman, which is part of the trickery and all that fine. So especially we're concentrating today on tax, land tax and council tax. And I did send you an email already, 3 files. One was the local governments of Victoria. I do have for another states as well, which I'm going to send you. But at the moment, our main concentration is it's basically Victoria. These guys are in Victoria. Of course, we're doing New South Wales and in Queensland as well. I do have for another four states, I think, which I'm going to send you and you can upload it. And another one will be, which we're going to go through a little bit, the judicial notice of malfeasance and fiduciary duty that basically every single councils, including, what is the name of
City
Victoria?
Council.
City and Council, but what is the name of land tax here in Victoria? State Revenue. Revenue of Victoria.
Office, yes.
State Revenue Office of Victoria. In New South Wales is Revenue New South Wales. And I don't know what is in Queensland. Does anyone know what is in Queensland? Revenue of Queensland. Surprise, surprise. All that revenue, right? Perpetual revenue. Yeah, because there is, and as we know, if you use the bankruptcy in 1933, all basically after House Joint Resolution 192, basically all the debts already prepaid. Okay, so it's all perpetual revenue what they're asking. 5th of June 1933. Yes. Yeah, House Joint Resolution. Yeah. Sorry if you're going to have a little bit of interruption. We got a lot of us gathered together today, and I find it's a very good opportunity as well, especially for Phil. I wanted this live today because of Phil and the upcoming court case as well, which we have done a lot of court cases behind his mother's back. completely unlawfully, based on fraud, corruption, collusion, RICO, whatever you want to call it, unlawful due process. There is, I think, like 30 RICO participants in his court case, if I'm right. Absolute disaster what these guys are doing. Fraud on the highest level, corruption on the highest level, collusion, and so on and so on.
Okay. So where do we begin then today? With Phil or with Peter?
Let's start with Peter, the researcher. Okay. Thanks for him, because he just gave me a lot of good information just another day about the Section 90, and you might want to talk about the Section 90 and about the High Court case as well. I'm going to open it up as well, so we have it open as well, so we know what we're talking about.
Okay, so I've got those documents, the local government, the judicial notice of malfeasance, and the Victoria Seals here if you want to talk through them.
Yep.
I can bring those up.
Yep. Which document are you bringing up now? Oh, yeah, that's the Victoria. All right.
Yeah.
So then I'm just going to talk about this one quickly first, and then I'll pass it on. Anyone who's done the Petition of Right, again, I'm back to the Petition of Right, and you are based in Victoria, I'm sure you heard about this local government, because we put in every single Petition of Right about the local government, how they're basically operating unlawfully. And I just basically going to go through roughly. I'm not going to spend too much time with that. As we know, the Section 74A of the Victorian Constitution is unlawful as a result of the Local Government Act 1989. Now, we did have referendum in 1988. It was a big no-no. Of course, who was the first one who introduced that was Victoria, introducing the local government. So the local governments can only be Department of the State, number 2. And Department of the State government cannot govern us, cannot create laws, and above all, cannot tax us. Yeah, rates. So this is very important. Then we go back to the local governments and Commonwealth Constitution as a Department of the State government. In 1979, the Victorian Parliament altered the Constitution, include the third or essential tier of the government, which was effectively appointed, is least repugnant to the Commonwealth Constitution. Then you go down further, and there is the statement: local government cannot govern us, cannot make laws for us, and cannot tax us. Now, why are we getting council rates? And this is a big question, and I want every single man and woman in this country, if you see this document and you are in Victoria, and we're going to send you to another states as well, so you're going to be uploaded to your website. Why these guys, all these CEOs or whatever council employees under fiduciary duty, why they're still actually sending us taxing us and council rates when it's completely unlawful. And I know they can actually charge the straw man, right? Because that's what they're doing, but they cannot charge the living being. Okay,
right,
so that's where basically the whole trickery goes, yeah? And if you go further down, there is high court cases as well. Sorry, not in this document, actually, when we're talking about it. In the Local Government Act in 1979. And there is actually the whole... give me a second. Sorry, I'm just going to open up quickly because I opened up the wrong one. With the Victoria Local Government Act. And another thing with the Local Government Act 1989, now if you are in Victoria, whatever state you are, thank you very much. If you do an FOI, and I'm strongly going to suggest you, whatever state you are, do an FOI with the Attorney General of the state and ask for the royal assent. Okay? I bet they cannot provide it to you. They're going to send like, it was assented, whatever, right? Now, and this one, this Common Law Resources Association, this is actually coming from the Know Your Rights group, okay? And I'm going to send you the website as well. So that was actually, you can find it in the Know Your Rights group website as well, about the local governments. Now, going back to some more facts as well, especially there is 3 points. The Section 74 had this unlawful, and basically the whole local government, it's null and void. They cannot tax us, And in top of this, when you ask the politician, right now, this is like, you can ask a politician, look, I've been in the last couple of years, I send out so many emails asking questions, they cannot answer, because they know if they answer, they know they're sitting in fraud and treason and corruption, right?
Yeah.
And obviously they're not going to answer because they already know that they were sitting in treason. And now this it's a selection, yeah? But they call it election is coming up, and come and vote. One of the biggest rubbish BS ever, right? And this is not just here, it's all around the country. And look, all around the world anyway. And I know people, actually, even family members who used to work in elections, okay, and they would tell me stories what's happened. All right, so it's just the whole election. It's a big bunch of hocus pocus pocus, as David Water calls it. Hocus pocus pocus. That's how he calls it. God bless him. Yeah, and they're foreign corporation, of course. That's what just the guys are talking about it. They're foreign. We know they were foreign corporation, the de facto governmental agency. If you done your petition of right, you do know that these guys are basically foreign corporation. They're not a de jure government. They are a de facto government. And having this document, and I strongly suggest you go and ask the CEO of the council, or send it to the council, this local government PDF file, and ask question and ask them if they can answer you. Send me the royal assent. You can do an FOI with the council as well. Send me the royal assent that ACTA legislation actually do have a royal assent. Obviously, they cannot send it to you because it doesn't exist. We know that. And, just asking this question, and how you're actually taxing, taxing us and rating us when we're using the Constitution. Even you're using the Constitution of Victoria, 1855, New South Wales, 1855, and Queensland is 1867, right? All these payments should be in pound sterling and pounds, not in Australian decimal currency, which is not backed by gold, right? As of 14th of February, 1966, because everyone is bankrupt. This is another thing, right? So, this is about the local government act, and another one is the Victoria Seals as well. If you go through, I think there's 11 pages, and that's another great material with the Victoria Seals. And this is another interesting thing. You know how magistrates and judges, they don't sign the paperwork because they're using a fraudulent seal. And that's basically, if they sign it, it's become a fraudulent document, which is basically forgery under the Crimes Act 1900, Section 253. That's basically 14 years jail time, imprisonment. And using all this fraudulent seal, that's in New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, all the states, using a fraudulent seal to obtain financial again by deception, perpetual revenue, whatever, how you want to basically call it. But this is basically what these guys are doing. And if you go through the Victoria Seals, I can guarantee if you're going to use it in courts or you're going to use it in councils, you will see that it is basically, they don't like it, okay, because that's just, again, exposing their fraud and their treasonous activities, because this is all basically based on the fraud, corruption, and deception. And again, if you done your petition of right 14th of February 1966, you know that basically everything went as a ship show, yeah, in the land of the Australis. So this is basically about the seals. I strongly suggest you to read it. We all know the seals are fraudulent. They're using fraudulent seals. They're putting on their documents, and they're basically obtaining financial gain by deception, committing financial rape, statutory rape, using the legal name, and so on and so on. And this is basically where it comes important. Another, I think the last document, the judicial notice of malfeasance and the fiduciary duty. I'm not going to go to talking too much about this seals. That can be another subject. As well, there's heaps of materials from Dick Yardley as well. Anyone who joins for the anti-corruption forum on Facebook, on the Facebook, it's a private Facebook group. Please make sure you answer the questions, because otherwise you won't be let in. Okay.
Yeah.
There's heaps of instruments uploaded there. And Peter does upload a lot of documents there as well. I used to, not as much due to time time issues.
Yeah.
So that's the original seal for Victoria as well. And if you look it up, the Victoria Constitution Act 1855, you can actually find it. And if you go in the documenting democracy, there are heaps of instruments and documents. Even the Constitution, the original Constitution, I'm talking about the original, not the Australian Constitution one, and all the latest one that the de facto governmental agencies provided and produced, because they are not relevant. And they don't have authority. This is the thing. The whole system is based on fraud, corruption, deception as of 1966. Anything they do, it's fraud. Any court order they issue, it's fraud. Anything they do, it's fraud. It's like, and this is like we're dealing with this, and sometimes it just make you like, man, like, what are you doing? You're not even supposed to do what you're doing, But they've been doing it from 1966. Like, some magistrates, they go in like, oh, yes, I got authority. What authority you got? You need a consent. Where is the consent? And the contract, right? Now, this is where it's come the trickery, right? So this is another thing which I know we've been doing it with public servants. You can ask the question, do you claim to be a public servant today? And give them the option. You're a public servant? Wonderful. Are you aware about your fiduciary duties, right? And that's where it comes, the fiduciary duty letter and the judicial.
Can I just pause you there for one moment? Sure. I've had some conversations with people this week who have, at various different times, had to go and talk with councils and courts. Separate people, separate things. When they were presented or asked about their fiduciary duty, in one case, the court told this person that the court has no fiduciary duty.
Really? Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for the confirmation. So you don't have a fiduciary duty, so you just admitted that you're a foreign agent. Are you? Is that what you meant? So which one? I give you the choice. That's okay. You can be the foreign agent. That's all right. Where's the contract? Where's your ASIC 402, 403, 404, 405, 418 form? Or your foreign registration statement. I've been told to slow down, sorry. And sometimes I smile. It's not you guys. It's just like we got a lot of interactions here. So, yeah. And this is actually great. And this is the reason we need to give them option. Okay, so if they are a public servant, if they claim to be a public servant, that's okay. Then you are under fiduciary duty. Are you just like, oh, I don't have fiduciary duty? Oh, okay. So you just, are you referring yourself that you are a foreign agent? Now, sometimes if a magistrate denies, and that's what Emma Care has done, right? We love Emma Care, right? And my favorite song. Yeah. She's like, I don't own any fiduciary duty. And you know what she has actually told me? Because she had too many conflicts of interest, but she forgot to disclose it with me. Poor thing. Now that magistrate, oh yeah. She forgot that she's a strata lawyer and she forgot a lot of things to disclose. The full disclosure was out of the window. God bless her. Sending a lot of love and light to her. Anyway. Another thing. You know, when you
when they say things like that and when they admit that, we've got no fiduciary duty. Where does that leave the person holding the fiduciary duty notice?
She shouldn't sitting there, though. She shouldn't even sit there. She shouldn't.
She shouldn't. But what do we do about it? How does that affect the guy or the girl standing there with the fiduciary duty notice, saying, "Well, you have no lawful authority over me," and the judge says, "Well, I have no fiduciary duty to you." What do you do?
Okay. Now. And of course, you need to be quick when it comes this things comes up. You need to switch what you're gonna say. Yes, please. And that's the reason it is comes. Okay, and I will tell you one of the court in Queensland, and I don't know which court was it, but I know a court in Queensland. It was a couple of months ago. Was it in January, February? I had this guy who's got arrested. Anyway, I ring up the court. I talked to the senior registrar and I said, look, do you claim to be a public servant? And she actually just got frozen, didn't know what to say. I said, That's okay, darling. You can be a public servant, so then you're under fiduciary duty. But you can be a foreign agent. If you're a foreign agent, then you need to produce contracts. So which way you're gonna go? Which way? So I need to know how we're gonna speak, right? It was very interesting. Anyway, the court opened up, and it was an open court. They were going to do it in a closed court and try to jail that certain living being, blah blah blah. So it was very interesting. And now that court is very cautious what they do. Okay, right. I'm not going to name them at the moment because there's a couple of court cases going on. This is what I mean. Now, I had another one, magistrates. And in New South Wales, I've done a lot of research, especially the magistrate. We got 160 in New South Wales. Go and look it up, their biography. Okay, if they deny their fiduciary duty, I can tell you 99.99%. They used to work as a police prosecutor, or they used to work as a DPP, right? Or they were even working as a solicitor. Now you tell me there's no conflict of interest. Why is in the petition of right? No solicitor, no lawyer, no barrister should be operate as a public servant to avoid the conflict of interest, right? Sorry, my facial expression, and this is me, okay? I have to apologize even in the course another day because I always express myself. I can't hold back, so otherwise I have to hold myself.
You're very expressive, Mona, but that's okay. Keep going.
Exactly. This is my passion.
Exactly.
It's on my face, you can see. Yeah, so this is basically just going back to magistrates. So yeah, just give them options because, you know, it's always good thing to give these guys an option, you know, like which way you want to resign. You want to be a public servant or you want to be a foreign agent? We know they are foreign agent, and we actually been very, very lovely to them because we're giving that, oh, you are a public servant, so you're under fiduciary duty. Thank you so much for serving us, right? So, yeah, basically. And, yeah, and like, you know, and then they can choose. And if they say they don't have fiduciary duty, then, well, I don't know what you're doing here. Then can you please produce the contract with a vetting signature? And where is my consent for this proceeding? Now, in New South Wales, just recently, if you want to move things in the private chambers, guess what? If you are a defendant, right, you need to get the plaintiff consent if you want to go into the private chambers. Now, my question is, if these guys want to take you to court, the plaintiff, where is my consent that they can take me to the court? It should be vice versa, right? To be everyone is equal under the law.
And whoever makes the claim, they must prove their claim.
Yeah, so whoever makes the claim.
Yeah, and then
must prove the claim. Yeah, I was going to say that was the only way that could work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you've got these two blokes sitting beside you, and 15 minutes ago you were going to introduce one of them.
Let's get this guys into.
Okay.
All right, who is Phil? You're gonna start. Sorry, Phil. Sorry, Phil and Peter. So I'm a little bit tired. I just, I told you.
You've had a busy weekend.
Going on. Okay. Yes, a great weekend. Sometimes you need a great weekend, just to forget what's going on. So I'm going to start with Peter to go a little bit into the Section 90 of the Constitution. Thank you so much for his help as well. He's absolutely a legend researcher in Victoria. And I'll tell you what, I'm so proud of this guy because anytime we're putting people on notice, the so-called public servants, he's one of the first who is there. Yeah, no problem, Ramona. I'm there. I'm backing you up, We need more people like this.
Beautiful. So, Peter, tell us about it.
Okay. I'll give you a brief one regarding Section 90. So, we look at a High Court case, Vanderstock versus State of Victoria, 2023. It's regarding tariffs.
Okay,
so Vanderstock belongs to. Can't read it. I haven't got my glasses.
Okay, do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read the first part?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay, so I'm just going to read and I'm going to send you the score case as well so you can upload it and the Section 90 of the Constitution as well. So today the High Court, that was back in 2023, the High Court by majority hold that the Section 7 in the bracket 1 of the Zero and Low Emission Vehicle Distance Based Charge Act 2021 Victoria, the Slave Charge Act is invalid on the basis that imposes a duty of exercise within the meaning of Section 90 of the Constitution. Section 90 relevantly provides that the power of the Commonwealth Parliament to impose duties of customs and of exercise is exclusive of the powers of the states and self-governing territories. Here you go. This was in Victoria. Again, I'll just let you to explain, and I will read just in the last part later on, just talk about it.
Okay, Peter, explain that to us.
All right. So tariffs and levies, if you put those words into a Google search and ask, what are these? It will come up. It is a tax, a rate. No, now I can't remember what the other one.
Strata levies as well. Council, land tax.
Anything that we're getting taxed on is a levy.
Right, yep.
So the High Court already recognises that these levies, taxes, rates, even the registrations are all illegal or
unlawful, unconstitutional.
Unlawful.
Yeah, unlawful.
And go against the 1900 Constitution.
Yeah, the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution. So basically, this court case under Section 90. So basically, he just found it another day, which is amazing, and it comes in absolutely divine timing. That basically all land tax, council rates, and we already went through with the council rates. We already got the documents. That basically, they're all unlawful. And again, we're back to the strawman, so they can charge the strawman again. And they are the fiduciary trustee, right? All the CEOs or CFOs, and they're supposed to fix it up. If you need the signature from the living man or the living woman, that's okay. But stop pushing financial rape, statutory rape, and all that, obtaining financial gain by deception, causing financial elderly abuse, which Phil's going to talk about it soon. Okay. And what these guys are doing is absolutely ridiculous. And that's must stop. It's full stop. It's must stop. And that's the reason more and more men and women, especially if you're putting them on notice, on judicial notice of malfeasance and fiduciary duty, you should remind every single council, including land tax as well, because land tax is definitely unlawful. I know someone in New South Wales who actually went very hardcore with Revenue New South Wales. And in a way, she succeeded. Now, and this is a lady who is hardly speaks in English, okay? She's over in her age 60. And I can tell you that, guys, if she could do it with hardly speaking English, everyone can do it. And it's, again, we're back to the number game. More men and women is going to stand up. Just remember, all fines and everything is unlawful. It's unconstitutional. Again, we're back to, Section 90 about land tax, right? Then we got the water section. Is that section, what is the water? Section 100 ton? I can't remember the water, but the water is unconstitutional as well. Section 92 is the freedom of travel, of course. And then there's a section 51 with the vaccination, section 5123A, if my memory is good. And we got the basic constitution, which is done for us. Again, if you've done your petition of right, remember you're a British subject, you are under English common law and under the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900, plus the Partnership Act 1890 and the Royal Style and Titles Act 1953, where it's contract under the seal. And using the Nationality Citizenship Act 1948, Section 5 to 9, a British subject cannot be prosecuted. And there is some other cases as well that every court cases are consent. And that's what basically, Phil, I want to talk about, right? Sorry?
This is all sounding very positive, but the question I have is, if we have a High Court precedence that says that all fines are illegal, why is it we have people losing their houses for not paying their rates and losing their licenses for not paying toll fines?
So some men and women actually succeeding in
part of it's within ignorance.
Ignorance is not an excuse. Yeah. Well, not everyone knows that. That's one thing. Second thing, even that we had actually someone in 2019 in Victoria. I can't remember the court case, but I will find it out. It was in 2019, and I'm going to send it to you. I'm sorry, I cannot remember. I should know that, but I just read it a couple of days ago. My head is lots of information now, so there's a couple of things I cannot remember. But actually, a judge said that in Victoria, in Supreme Court, that the mortgages actually, they are lawful, right? And I'm going to send you the court case. And it was actually admitted in the Supreme Court. Now, someone else was trying to use it in another Supreme Court, not in the state of Victoria. It was completely ignored. Because you got it up in the top, who's going to tell you what to do? Because we got these lovely lawyers, solicitor, prostitute, who are causing so much fraud, corruption, and deception in the system, and they just want to rape their state. And this is the biggest problem. As soon as you got lawyers involved in the cases, your case is going absolutely a nutcase. And Phil can talk about this, his case, his mother's case, which is absolutely RICO on the highest level. And when I say RICO, anyone who is involved, they're all colluding. You know, you can see who's pumping the neighbor's dog, right? Yeah. So, I'm sorry. But this is what's happening, you know. Who is in the zoo and who is pumping the neighbor's dog? And the problem is that most of the times they're all colluding, you know, and this is our biggest problem. And yes, and I've seen that even because I've now been in numerous court cases again, and sometimes I'm just sitting there, and you know it's so annoying because even sometimes you got a judge who completely ignores the high court case.
Yeah,
you know, and like not to mention.
And how is that possible?
Sorry,
how is that possible? The precedent. How is it possible? The judge
fiduciary duty. They're sitting in corruption. They're sitting in treason. They're sitting in fraud, and they are after the mortgage-backed securities when they retire, right? So they got mortgage-backed securities. So if they rule against the defendant, they're gonna have their mortgage-backed securities. So it's actually working out for their benefit. Where's the conflict of interest? And this is the thing now. You can ask, do you have a financial interest in this matter, or do you have a security interest in this matter? Now you watch their face, because they all got financial interest and they all got security interest in every single court case.
Yeah. So, but why aren't people asking that question, and what happens when they do?
There's some of them. Did they strike out? Like
you ask for them to recuse themselves because it's a conflict of interest.
Well, it's a conflict of interest. They need to recuse themselves, and we got actually magistrate to recuse themselves in Queensland after was asked for financial interest and the security interest, and because he had actually conflict of interest. Sorry, that magistrate actually recused himself because he had conflict of interest in the matter. And that was nice. He recused himself from the matter.
But now that's few people do.
Yeah, okay. And that's yeah.
So
and
you have
few
to
magistrates.
catch them out, and then you can put the proper paperwork in.
And you need to, of course, the paper, and you just you need to stay strong and just keep going. And if they do rule against you, you appeal the matter. We know that the whole court, it's again, the court doesn't have jurisdiction.
Once again, that's falling into the whole lawfare thing, and you've got to have the money to go back and appeal. And in some cases, if you want to go to the High Court, for instance, that's $240,000 for them to even read your appeal.
It should be free. If you're a pensioner, apparently you get it for free. It should be free under the free court access is $1,400, and you should pay in pound sterling and pounds, under the Constitution, right? Not Australian decimal currency. Or they should actually accept the bill of exchange or the promissory note and get it from their state. Thank you very much.
Under the Currency Act, they only accept the coinage.
Currency Act 1965, coinage.
Coinage, yes. Well, 65, that'll put it before we turned into dollars and cents. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, you've been sitting there very quietly in the shadows for the last more than half an hour. Do you want to explain to people exactly what's happened in your life and your mother's life in particular?
All right. How do you want to start it? How do you want to start this?
Well, the beginning's a good place.
All right.
Do you want to talk about something about the council? Just give me a second. Peter was saying something about the council. Just quickly. Then we go.
Okay, quickly. I want every Victorian to have a look at their council rate and see if there is a fire service levy and why it's being charged through the council.
Okay. I want every Victorian to have a look at their rates notice and see if there's a fire service levy being levelled against you and why it's on your rates notice.
Exactly. Have to ask the question. Apparently, it's supposed to be a state levy. So, who's making the money here?
On a local government? Yeah, why is it on a local government document?
Well, local government, they state that their bylaws. Can we?
PMA.
Yes, it's under a PMA,
Oh,
but can we see where it's gazetted anywhere?
oh yes,
Where
that's a good
their
question.
so-called bylaws are stated in Australia?
Yeah.
Or is it all the bylaws just a little, money-making scheme for the council?
And just more scan.
I think you
And a
probably hit
scam.
it on the head there. Yep, just a money-making sham. That's all it is.
Obtaining financial again by deception again. Okay.
And that's it from me for now.
We're going to start from
Yeah.
2019 when it all
We'll
started.
start from 2019, Phil, and
Okay.
Phil has been doing absolutely amazing job. He hasn't done really paperwork. He just started not a long time ago.
Can I just get
he's-
everybody in the background to be quiet, please? I can't hear.
Sorry. My
If you want to
apologies.
go and have a conversation, please go outside somewhere else and have it.
Okay, go back 2019.
2019. Look, as usual, before 2019, we've been paying land tax since they brought it in 1996. And of course, the land tax or state revenue office gets the valuations from the municipality or council with the independent corporation or some company in there that does all the independent valuations. And I've had issues with that problem. That's what started it all. Because their valuations started to go through the roof. On one of my properties, I just went through one property only. I didn't go through all of them, just only one. And they claimed that the property was worth $1.8 million. And it was only a 165 square meter property, 2-bedroom house. I got an independent valuator done, professional, and they quoted it was $820,000. And what I did, I went to all the auctions in the area within 500 meters from that place, and I gathered all the information, and I lodged in. I went to the state revenue office because they were overcharging me on land tax as well because of the overvaluation. All right, and what I did, I went through the process on their website, everything, and I got the reference numbers, and once it's stated, look, this is how much the properties are selling, this is how much. This property is worth, what's the problem? Why is it so high? And I never got a reply back from the state revenue office. And I've done it legitimately. I've got all the reference numbers and everything. Okay. So then maybe a month or two later, I started getting letters from the City Area Council. And of course, I understand they only sent the letters to those registered properties, what need to be evaluated. But they never sent it to me. So I was getting the tenants and whatever else sending me letters like already too late to make an appeal against it. So I started to get into the council, and I personally went to the council, and I put a letter in person to the main desk in City Area Council, and they gave me a reference number and that to prove I lodged it in. And with all the values of all the properties and everything. And then I lodged it in, it went through, and then I got a letter back saying deny. They didn't want to budge at all. So then I said, look, so what I did, I said, like I said before, I went and got a valuation for that particular property that was worth $1.8 million, and it came back to $820,000. So then I went to the council again personally in the main office at the registrar, and I said to him, can I please, because eventually in the end I got a letter from that person in the council that signed it off. In the department, there's a person in there that signs it off that says, this is how much the property is worth, and that's the way that's the way it is. So what I did, I went to the council again. I said, listen, this guy, can I make an appointment with him? And they said to me, yeah, no problem. We can do an appointment. I want to see him in person. I want to discuss this because so far I've sent paperwork through and they just kept denying it. They said that, they won't accept it. So, okay, fair enough. So what I did, they instead of he getting back to me, this person to make a time, he rings up the phone, rings my phone number, and he leaves a message. I couldn't even understand. I go, okay, fair enough. I don't understand what he's talking about. So I rang that number back. It was left on my answer machine. And instead, what I got, so what I did, I rang that number, and it was a council. I said, okay, fair enough. So I said to the council, listen, I got this number. I got them to listen to the recording. He said, I can't understand what this person's talking about. So eventually what I did, I rang this person up. They put me through to this person, and we started to discuss the situation. And what happened then, he's saying to me, "Oh, look, we can only drop it 40%." And I said, "Listen, mate, you just can't drop it 40% from 1.8 million. I've got a proper valuation here. It states the property, and it's a proper professional valuation. It's done by a professional guy. It has all the values of all the properties in the area in the last 6 months, what they went for in the auction and everything, and photos of inside the house. It's really professional. And I'll bind it up nicely." And I said to him, "Look, I've got a paperwork here, and I want to send it, give it to you." And he says, "No, I'll send it through." And I said, No, look, I've already sent you enough information. I prefer you to see this in person, and we'll talk about it face to face. And he turns around and said, "No, we can't talk face to face because we're going to argue." And I said, "Why are we going to argue?" And he goes to me, "Oh, we're going to argue about it." And I said, "Look, you must see me in person. This is your right. I'm a duty to do it. I'm a ratepayer." And he said, "No, you won't do it." So it's okay. And so I turned around. I shouldn't have said it to him anyway. I said, "Listen, I think you're just a lame excuse so you can hide behind your computers and stalk the people and see whether you can rip them off." And he didn't say nothing, just went quiet. And then after that, I said to him, "Listen, look, if you don't want to come to the table and just resolve this problem, because you're refusing to resolve the problem, I'm not going to pay you no more council rates." And you get, and I said to him, "I'm not going to pay any more council rates, and I'm not going to say, so that's it, forget about it." And I said, "Have a nice day." And that was the end of the conversation. I haven't heard anything from him ever again, and I haven't paid the council rate since 2019. So then the State Revenue Office, of course, they didn't get any valuations from the council, or they went ahead, or they went through. So they just kept on sending to pay the rate, to pay the land tax, keep paying. But and then by then we already went into the lockdown and COVID-19, so I didn't hear nothing. I had some emails from the council, from the State Revenue, letters sent to me. No emails, so of course, but they didn't reply me with my first email or their website. And it kept saying, look, you got to pay this amount. It started at 250,000, and then it went up to 500,000, and then went back to 250,000. And I'm going, what's going on with these guys? They haven't got a straight line here. They're not giving you, the right figure. So anyway, and then at the time during the lockdown, there was a few of my friends. They were paying land tax, but they were exempt during that lockdown from paying land tax. But they kept on pursuing me, sending me, if you don't pay, we're going to take to the Supreme Court, blah, 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 blah. This is from the Commissioner of State Revenue Office, blah, 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 blah. And I just ignored the letters. I didn't want to deal with it. And then I didn't hear nothing from them. And then after COVID lockdown and all that sort of stuff, and last year they were sending more letters, and then in the end they came to my premises. Of course, all the properties are in my mum's name. My mum can't write English at all, so whatever documents they gave her, she wouldn't even know what to do with them.
Sure.
And they personally handed the document to her, and then I got the document and I looked through it, and I go, well, this is they're going straight through to court. So they left a number on the heading to ring them up. This is ring up State Revenue Office before the court date, and and I did. I rang that number and I went straight to a message bank. I requested to speak to the Commissioner of State Revenue Office. I recorded it all, and then by then I had a feeling, it seems like the way this guy in the council was doing it, it was like, it's like he was like trying to crank the prices through the roof. And I found out there's a threshold. Once it reaches over $1.1 million, it goes to another level, and they start charging you way more land tax.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so they didn't want to go down to 820,000, but they kept, well, we'll drop it down to $1.3 million.
Can I just say one note?
Yep.
This becomes very important. when you got third-party interlopers. And this guy who did the revaluation, he is actually a third-party interloper. So you see how they're actually doing it. You got the council, then you're getting a third-party interloper to do the valuation. Who's going to take the commercial liability, lawful and legal liability, to doing all of this? So what they're doing every single time, they're getting this third-party interloper. And that's the reason they can make the cases messy, because third-party interlopers, they are always got malicious intent. Okay, now that is which comes again the consent. Where is my consent, my privacy consent, that you can use my details and even do the valuation? Who gave you that consent? Because that again, authority, the consent is crucial. Otherwise, it's slavery, right? And this is what they're doing every single, like a Phil's case. It's really shows that all the third-party interlopers, because the thing is, if you wouldn't have, like, okay, you got the council and you got you, that's it. You have to do arrangement. Where's the contract? No, all of this lawyer, trustee, blah, blah, blah. Then you got state revenue. They're getting with the lawyer. Then they're getting into trustee. Then they try to do this. Then they try to do this. For years and years, they done all these ex parte cases, completely illegal. Yeah, of course, with Cameron 1944 case. Then using registrar to sign the document again, 1954 Arvid Davidson case, all that invalid, right? This is how it should be, because this is high court cases. But when you're dealing with belligerent, treasonous men and women who's sitting in fraud, corruption, deception, forgery, financial rape, statutory rape, all what they want, money, chin, yeah? And just go down in their little rabbit hole, what they like to do, because they love doing financial rape and statutory rape and, squeezing people and doing economical abuse, financial abuse, elderly financial abuse, yeah, because this is what they do. And basically Phil's case full of third-party interlopers. So it started from council, state revenue. Now there is like 30 participants. 30.
So that's all trespass.
Wow.
Trespass.
So anyway, so what the council did at the time as well, they were handballing me back and forwards. And I pursue. I want to see these people face to face and talk about it. I don't want them to send me letters and then they can decide whatever they want, and they're hiding behind the computers and whatever else. Anyway, so they put me onto this company called Westlink Evaluators. There was a guy there called Nick the Properties, and I explained to him, I said, listen, how could the property be so high up and that high up? Especially what the council did that year as well, or 2018, they put a special building overlay in the whole area. And, we went to the meeting and we said, listen, why is the special bill? Oh, it's a floodplain zone. I said, okay. So what you're doing, you're putting this floodplain zone. When's the last time? I even brought somebody that's been in the area for a long time. They've been there since the 50s. There used to be floods in the area, but then they upgraded the stormwater system in that area of Collingwood, and never had no more floods in that area anymore. But the council still, put this whole thing. They brought the City West Water into the meeting, and a few of us went there and had a meeting. But in the end, they still went through with it. They didn't listen to us. They still put special bill and overlay. So what they did at the same time, they devalued the properties because it's a floodplain zone, all right, and made it unattractive. But at the same time, they put the valuations through the roof.
Of course.
So
and then ignore you when you prove them wrong.
That's right. And that's like you can't win in both ends. So I said, I'm not going nowhere with these guys. I said, I had enough of these. I said, that's why I said, I'm not paying you no more council rates. I'm not chasing you no more. If you want the money, you come and chase me. So that's what I did. And what I did in the end, I just let it go to see how far they went with it. And then like I said, they came and dropped the document to my mum's house. This is State Revenue Office, and go to court. I left a message on their answering machine because I said to myself, well, I'm going to email, because last time they didn't reply back to any of my emails, or they're through their website, sorry, because they should reply back to them through their website. They didn't. And anyway, so I left a message. So listen, I demand to speak to the Commissioner of State Revenue Office, because I'm not blaming him in any way, but I can see that what's going on here. I think there's some sort of collusion going on with the City Area Council and the State Revenue Office. And maybe you're not aware of it, maybe because you're up there, maybe there's somebody inside your State Revenue Office is doing the wrong thing. And I think it's a bit of corruption going on in there within the council and the state revenue office. But you know what? They never got back to me. They never rang, never left any messages. They claimed they did, they never did. They said they sent me an email. They never sent me any emails. I never got no information. They went straight to the court, and then they decided to bankrupt my mum and estate.
All in the back, no consent, no paperwork signed, no paperwork at all. Like it's nothing is signed. And you cannot do bankruptcy if it's no signature. And everything's worked by consent. For the proceedings, you need consent. But this, how I'm going to call them, God bless them, lovely public servants, right? Yeah. And it's right. Karma comes. God sees everything. There's nothing to hide. And they will pay all for the sins. And they did like what? And this they have done with an elderly who is over 80, which is, again, it's a financial elderly abuse when these guys are the fiduciary trustee and they're charging the estate because, hey, guess what? The Catholic churches, most of them, they don't pay land tax. Huh?
No.
Ministry. Because they got ministry.
I wonder if the Pope is paying any death duties.
And Catholic schools, and so on and so on. The ministry, they're under PMA or whatever what they're doing, and they don't have to pay. So, but you know, like, oh, that's okay. We're gonna go after this elderly. Doesn't speaks in English. That's okay. Right, yep. No lawful due process at all. Okay. No properly how you serve an affidavit, how you serve the paperwork. There's now these guys.
So is that what this? Is that where we're at now? We're 53 minutes in. And are we now just keep serving the paperwork? Is that what the message is here? Just keep serving the paperwork. The more people that are aware of the fraud,
we have to start doing prosecution. That's what it should be. But again, look, I said this is what we're dealing with. You know, the best would be doing private prosecution. Okay, and these guys needs to be privately prosecuted. Okay, but again, remember, I cannot recall exactly, but in New South Wales, you need to go through registrar, so you're gonna be filtered again. But knowing the system is so corrupt, and look, me personally, I believe the more men and women going to stand up for this all unlawful due process, they cannot do ex parte. And again, I'm back to the numbers. I can see slight shifting in one of the court. I'm not going to mention because as soon as I mention that, thing's going to turn around. And this is all because due to the paperwork. I can see some courts now they coming back consent. I can see some lawyers coming back. Oh, we know you have issues to actually enter into joinder because everything is joinder and contract. So, you know, the thing is, you know, they've been doing it from 1966. Okay. Yeah. And the more and look, I'm very positive in a way, and I believe the more men and women gonna stand up and going to question and challenge, doing the judicial complaint again, question coming out public, because a lot of people, this is another thing, they feel ashamed, because I remember when they tried to bankrupt me, right? I feel ashamed, you know, because all the stuff what I do, and one day I just, you know what, I don't give a damn crap. I'm coming up. Because I haven't done anything wrong. They're dealing with their state. They don't want to admit it. Emma Care's denying everything. You know, she just goes whatever she thinks she can do because there's too much collusion, and they're all connected. Any angle you see these guys, it's a RICO case. This is another thing which we just been doing recently, and I can see again a little slight positive. Like, you know, I look at everything, whatever we're doing as a freedom warriors, it's baby step. To see the results is going to take for a while. And if just, again, we're going to need baby steps, step by step, more and more men and women. Like we had someone looked up another day. It was very interesting as well. You know, like just saying welfare check, people doing the welfare check, they're getting questioned. They couldn't wait to get rid of that man. You know, another one in mental health. We did start putting the mental health on notice. In the morning, it was treated. Later on, everything pulled back. You know, because again, the notices are going. They do take notice. And I can guarantee, actually, it was told from come from a very good sources, put it this way. Family courts, they're reading every single notices. Okay, so that's confirmed. And look, for me, I believe they're reading every single notices. Even they try to ignore it. this is how I feel, this is what I feel. They're reading it. Do they reply? Most of the times, no, because what they're going to reply, sorry, yes, we're sitting in treason, fraud, and corruption. Yes, sorry, yes, you're absolutely right. Do they going to admit it? No. But ignorance is not an excuse. Your silence is your consent, and etc., etc. So if you use this one, right? Now, going back to the field case, right?
Yeah. Can I finish the story?
Yeah, of course. Go for it.
So I want to get in conclusion to this. All right. So what happened then? It went through the courts, and they came about saying, look, you're bankrupt now. So they employed these trustees, and they came to my mum's place, because I don't reside there, and they just handed her the paperwork, and they said, listen, we've taken your these are paperwork. They handed it to her. She doesn't know what's going on, so I can't write English. Anyway, so then I come around and I say, what's this? And I have a look, and it had my name on there. And they weren't even aware I existed, these guys, these trustees. And they said, we would have got a surprise. And so left a number there. So I rang them up and I said to them, listen, I said to them, hi, how are you? And I said to them, where did you get my name from? This is the trustees. And I said, oh, we got it from your mum. I said, I don't think so. I said, you didn't get it from my name from because you put the name on the piece of paper to ring them up. So anyway, and they said to me, oh, I got it from mum. I asked this, and no, they asked me, is your name Philip? And then they go, and my mum goes, yes. But anyway, so what they did, I said to them, you have no authority to go there. It seems like what you just did is asphyxiation, stalking, coercion, enforcement. And they go, oh, whatever. So anyway, we stopped with that theory. And then they just kept on bothering me, sending me a lot of paperwork and stuff. And then they got to a point they decided, okay, now we want 3 properties you've got. The State Revenue Office, they claimed $900,000, but they want 3 properties, 3 titles for $900,000. So what they did, so they appointed these lawyers, and they said, oh, you must, because what I did, I hold on to the titles. I don't live with anybody in a special place, the safe deposit box, of course. And because they can't get because it's not in the titles office, because once you hold the title, they can't get in touch. So they started sending me letters going, oh, you must send us the titles to our office, blah, 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 blah. I ignored it all, didn't reply back, nothing. And then now they're taking me to the Supreme Court to take over the titles. And that's next week on Tuesday, this Tuesday, right. Actually.
So if anyone is free, Supreme Court of Victoria around 10 o'clock?
Yeah, 10:30, yes.
What's the legal name? The Josefa
Perez.
Josefa Perez Cabezas.
Yeah.
That's the court case. So you're more than welcome to join, and it's going to be in Melbourne.
Yeah. So
all right.
Yeah, so in the end of the day, what I can see, what this whole theory of the State Revenue Office and the councils, it's like they implemented something where they force you into bankruptcy, and then they steal your properties for their overvaluations and whatever. I think that's really corrupted.
I agree. Couldn't be more so. And sadly, you're not the only people who've gone through it.
Yeah, and I see what they've done is they refuse to cooperate to resolve a problem of overvaluation and overcharging, but instead asphyxiation, stalking, coercion, and enforcement to court, and then bankrupt you.
Yeah.
That's what I see. That's what I see of the whole situation. Nothing else.
Is to steal the property.
And that's what they established, this whole system, to steal properties from people.
Yeah.
And they've been paying council rates and land tax for so many years, and it just got to a point it was overcharging. It was just out of control.
Yep.
It was
couldn't agree
like,
more.
I even went to the local Labor member to make a complaint about it, and even him said, look, this house has got 2 bedrooms, it's $600 a week, all right, rent, it's small property, fair enough. In Collingwood's not cheap. It's $300 per room. It works out. That's how I work it out. Yeah. And then giving me a bill of $22,000 land tax. It's more than what the rent is, and that's charging a high rate for $600 a week for a small little house. And then that's not in the council rates. That's sort of including the water rates, you know, and your insurance. So what are you going backwards? So they're bankrupting you. That's what they're doing at the end of the day.
But the question is,
You know?
if you were to sell it, you won't get that money.
That's right. At one point, I know.
Only for all-
But they-
this is another thing.
And
Yeah.
that's
All right,
guys.
Just
Yes.
And
guys, your internet has broken up, at least at my end, completely. So
Okay,
I
you
can't.
back?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, shouldn't
you're
move the
back.
laptop.
Might be an opportune moment
Yep.
to say thank you very much. It's been a very informative evening to learn more about it. I hope you have some luck next week, Phil, with your case when it returns to the Supreme Court. And if people can go and support you, Tuesday, 10:30 at the Supreme Court in Melbourne CBD. And gratefully received. Thank you for what you're doing and trying to keep the bastards honest as they are. And Mona, of course,
100%.
always love you, darling, and look forward to hearing more about this adventure next week.
Definitely. And I just want to say to you, I just met with Phil not long time ago, and I'm very blessed, and I'm very happy what she's doing and what she actually told me. And look, I'm getting goosebumps because he said that I'm doing it not just for myself, I'm doing it for the people. Okay, so that's what you need to remember. Yeah. It's not just because he could just step back and, you know, just do whatever he needs to do, but he's doing it for the people, because this is all unlawful. It's unconstitutional. It's whatever they're doing. It's just a poor financial rape and statutory rape. So,
and for the future generation.
And for the future generation, of course.
And everybody in Victoria is crying right now at the moment with this, because everybody's it's gone through the roof at land tax. It's unbelievable.
And it's ridiculous.
That's all I hear. That's all I hear from everybody else. I know the properties.
No, it's criminal, but the state's being run by them, so hardly surprising. All right, guys, good luck. Enjoy your dinner tonight, and I look forward to hearing how you go on Tuesday. Of course, once again, folks, if you would like to go along and help support Tuesday morning at the Supreme Court in Victoria is the place to be. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your night.
Thank you very much. I will send you some more files that you can upload, and thank you again. Beautiful. Love you, Carl.
You too, Mona. Oh, God, I love her lots. Yes, all the files, as I've said tonight in the little thing that pops up on the screen now and again, are available at vofhq.com. So please feel free to head over there, click on the English Common Law tab, and you'll find all of Mona's bits and pieces, at least the ones she shares with us online, there for your viewing pleasure. Look forward to seeing you again. Well, we'll be tomorrow night, and pretty confident we'll be having a chat with another person running in the Senate race. This one is, well, the Senate race is blown up in Queensland. We're going to learn a little bit more about it. That'll be coming up tomorrow night. Look forward to seeing you then, folks. Steer clear of the dickheads. School holidays still, or have they just ended? Don't know, but there's bound to be dickheads on the road everywhere.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!